The Power Hour will be live eventually when everything starts working at KFAN.com/watch. It's all thanks to Quantum Fiber, your world unleashed.
Yeah, why does this say words on the screen?
I don't know. It's like Facebook is having issues this morning. But I also would like to say real quick, if I could.
You can.
You really should join me tonight at Casper's in Egan for a Wild Watch Party. Get there at 6 o'clock. Watch your Wild in action.
What's going on with
and sign up for your chance to qualify for first-round playoff tickets next year and other great Wild prizes. Full details at KFAN.com keyword calendar. Again, Casper's in Egan.
That place is awesome. Love that place.
Let's go.
Great spot.
I haven't been there in a long time, but man, spent a lot of hours there. Good time. Good for you, Zachary.
Well done.
Come on
Casper's.
out, Core.
Look at DT over there.
Look at DT. There he is.
Hi, Darrell.
The
How
man,
are
the
you,
myth,
buddy?
the legend.
Doing well. Great to see you.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
What's going on these days?
There's a lot going on, man. It's National Mentoring Month, so I mean that's why the pleasure of coming. I can't get a regular invitation to the power trip.
Well,
I'm happy to be here with you guys this morning.
Would you like to mentor Meat Sauce Paul Lambert? He needs some help.
I would love to mentor.
Oh,
him.
thank you, DT.
Paul, what do you need help
We
on?
start out with breakfast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be
Oh, he
great.
doesn't need help with food.
No, I don't need help.
He's got that figured out.
I've had two today.
Yeah, he could mentor most of the youth in America on how to eat breakfast.
Well, nutritionally.
No, then do the opposite. You do have a waffle every single morning.
Every
here.
day, yeah.
Every morning.
Yep.
Is it like gluten-free or something?
Yeah,
So you have a gluten-free waffle with nothing on it?
Peanut butter.
Peanut butter.
Oh, he's got the protein. He's
There's nothing wrong with that. I got nothing wrong with that. I can't.
Now, before these guys get lost in their silliness, Darrell, tell me about Boulder Options. It's an organization that has done some great work, and I've been involved with in the past. And I know you guys are looking for mentors. Just tell me about exactly what you guys do.
Well, I really appreciate you guys having me on here. And Boulder Options is in its 32nd year of existence.
Whoa,
this
really?
is my 30th year with Boulder Options this year.
Holy man.
Yeah, so we're really
That is
proud
awesome.
of what we've been able to accomplish over the last 30 years, from going from a 3-month program to a 1-year program to a lifetime program. We have some young ladies and young men, about 10 or 11 of them last weekend, that graduated from this program we call I Believe, I Achieve. It's our program where we work with careers, and it's a pathway for these young people to have to get in their life and their career and go to college and start thinking about what they want to do. But at the core of what we do at Boulder Options, we work with 10 to 14-year-old youth that are young ladies and young men, match them with a mentor, and we're activity-based. We're going to run, we're going to bike, we're going to do homework and other activities, everything from, cross-country skiing to going up to the Boundary Waters to just having fun with youth. We also, have a relationship with the YMCA, so we're allowed to work out there as well. So there's a lot of different activities that over the course of a year, running, biking, tutoring, homework, cooking, that are going to take place over the course of a year.
Right, this is going to sound like a loaded question because I'm not looking to do the minimum. But like, what's the threshold? Like, what is what's like the minimum kind of time commitment a mentor signs up for when they sign up for Boulder Options?
It's actually a great question because it's once a week. Okay. So we're looking for maybe just a little bit more, but it takes a little bit more. And I think that's why we've been successful. The national average for a mentor and a mentee to stay together for a year is around 42%. We're over 90% of our matches last a minimum of a year. Usually the relationship gets fractured because someone moves away or something happens in the home traumatically, but we've been able to maintain that between 90 and 95% now for, almost 20 years now. So it's, there's a reason that we're a little bit stickier, than most mentoring programs. The one-to-one relationship, the activities, the fun, and also just getting them connected into the community. A lot of times I know our kids, our youth don't have as many opportunities. You're talking about internships and relationships and introductions and things like that. And if they don't have those, then they can, just kind of take that easier path that might be just somebody stand on the corner or let me go do something that, isn't quite as positive and healthy. But you start getting people involved in a healthy lifestyle, they'll continue with it.
What, in terms of the activities, is that kind of a program thing where you don't have to, as a mentor, you don't have to necessarily figure that out? Are there programs already in place, or is it up to the mentor to say, here's what we're doing on Friday?
That's another great question. Yeah,
Thank you.
because
2 for 2.
We do give them activities. It could be, last weekend it was kind of a culmination of a lot of events. So we had practiced elevator speeches, things like that. But it's everything from running, it's the biking, it's the races, it's a cooking class. It can be we had one gentleman that taught the young ladies and young men how to do create a cartoon. You know, he was a cartoon artist, and you have to have like a villain and a kind of a passion and a story, everything from explaining Superman and Spider-Man to creating your own characters. We have people that bring in their specialties. We've done exercise classes, jazzercise, aerobics, martial arts, all those things, not all, but a lot of those pieces will get covered over the course of a year.
That's cool.
Wow. I mean, how important is it these days for a program like yours? I mean, I know it's always been important, but it just seems it seems like the youth are really struggling these days, Darrell.
Well, they are, and they always probably have been. I don't think, obviously, COVID didn't help anything. We're also trying to get people back out and back. You know, we had one of our mentors. We have a mentor get-together just a few days ago, and at that get-together, we was just talking about just trying to get kids out from behind the screens. You know, we all, we have our phones and we have our laptops and our tablets and computers, but to get a young lady or young man to say, hey, we're going to go for a run. We're going to go for a bike ride, and realize that Makaska is not that far away, that the Lake Harry's not that far away, and that Lake Phelan's not that far away, to get to our lakes and our cities and to take advantage of the beauty of, Minneapolis, St. Paul, and Rochester.
And what can people do? Let's say that they're listening and they're like, I would love to be a mentor, but I've got this going on, I've got that going on. Are there other ways to support Boulder Options other than being a mentor?
Financially is also a great way to support us. At least you'll get to start getting information from us. So anything from, a monthly supporter to a one-time supporter, just thinking about that. And also just thinking about ways if we can come inside your company or organization. If there's an opportunity for us to talk to, you at your kickoff luncheon or the sales meeting or whatever that might be, say, maybe there's someone here that is feeling like they want to get involved with in the lives of youth and young people, and it might be that opportunity. Or we do have kind of one-time volunteer opportunities that'd be worth anything from helping us at events set up and tear up and clean up and things like that. So there's a handful of opportunities outside of mentoring and donating that would be beneficial to Boulder Options.
Very cool.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
that's
man.
sweet.
Doing good work, and you have been for a long time, man. So well done. That's great.
So what's the website?
BoulderOptions.org. Boulder does not have a U in it.
Does not have a U.
Yep.
BOLDER. BoulderOptions.org. Okay.
Awesome.
Now let's dive.
30 years, man, for you.
Yeah, that's sweet.
That is,
It's a lot of work.
I didn't think it was going to last that long. It's interesting because I was thinking, I said, I'll just do this for a while. Maybe we'll get through like the first, 50 or 100 youth. And I said, that seems like a lot of youth, and then it just got to be like one more challenge with Boulder Options. So it went from 3-month to a 6-month to a 1 year. We have, let's expand to St. Paul. Let's expand to Rochester. And then now I bump into youth, like a lot that are grown, that are like young ladies and young men. They're like, hey, here's my baby. Here's my wife. Here's my dad. Here's my mom. So, and they talk about the benefit. And a lot of our youth, probably the majority of them, it's interesting that came up through one of our surveys, Boulder Options is their thing. So they don't have like, hey, I used to play basketball and I played football and I ran track. And a lot of the times you'd say, hey, what's going on? You say, well, I go to school and then I go home. It's like, well, what else are you involved in? It's like, oh, not really anything else. So it's good to have, we all need some communities to be involved in, and we're, lucky and blessed. But if we can start to have some communities, and if that young lady or young man is involved in Boulder Options and they get some other connections and they can figure out what it is that they want to do in life, and we try to help them find their passions. A lot of times you just we all do it. We kind of take that easy road. But if no one's asking, like, what do you want to do? Where do you want to be? What are you good at? And how, if you can mix that together and try to find something that's you're really passionate about, and you start to tell people. It was interesting last weekend and working with the young people on their elevator pitches, and we're a little short staffed this last month. So I was there kind of helping out, and it was interesting just talking to the kids about what it is that they'd like to be and just asking them, and if you start to put it out there, it's like, oh, one day I want to be in radio, or one day I want to be a football scout, or one day I want to be a doctor, or one day I want to be a cosmetologist. And, through that, putting it out there, then they voice it and you can hear it, and hopefully we can help them.
And here with his elevator pitch to Darrell Thompson is the fans, Paul Meat Sauce Lambert.
Darrell, I have this unbelievable opportunity for you. It's a company I started about 15 years ago, and we sell cereal. Now, we need your company who sells cereal boxes to combine with us, and it's the best cereal of all time.
Sounds great.
Wow.
I know.
I think you did it.
I know that was an elevator pitch to
did it.
Darrell, but I can't help myself. I have a couple of questions.
Yeah, just a couple.
Wait a minute. Are you Darrell's assistant?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
great.
Are you in the elevator?
I'm Darrell's security.
Thank you,
In
Darrell.
case somebody wants to mess with him. You've been selling cereal for 15 years without boxes.
Yes.
Did you just hand them out?
Yeah, I mean,
how have you been profitable for 15 years or selling cereal for 15 years without a container?
Well, we had cereal in bags
without boxes.
And now we want to move up a class, and Darrell's company sells the best cereal boxes.
So you were the generic bagged box
and
or
we're moving
cereal
on
at the
up.
bottom of the shelf. You want to be the boxes a couple shelves up, and that's where Darrell's company comes.
That's where Darrell's company
Got it. I'm glad I asked.
I'm Darrell's other assistant over here.
There's a lot of people in this elevator.
Yeah, there are.
Darrell, you employ a whole lot of people.
Any more details on the cereal, or is it just the best cereal ever?
It's the best cereal ever. You leave the cereal to us. We want your boxes.
Well, I just want to know about sales. I mean, if we're moving product, then it's kind of hard for me to.
Paul, what kind of sales you get?
Yeah, please.
My company?
Yes, your successful cereal company. 15 years in the
Best
making.
in the world.
We move about 1 million units a month.
Is that individual pieces?
Yes, that's my assistant. He's also here.
No, it's not your assistant. He was asking questions.
No, he was another one of Darrell's.
No, it's a very confusing company. I don't know what we do. Darrell, can I ask you real questions now?
Yeah, please do.
Thank you very much. And again, boulderoptions.org, and it's BOLDER, know you in there. Check it out and be a mentor. That's an incredible organization, great work that you guys do. Now football.
Yes.
I love to talk to you about this, and it's been a long time since I talked to you about this. I don't remember if we had dinner one time, I believe, in Athens, Greece.
Oh, yes, we did.
And I know that sounds made up, but we really did.
That does sound
really
random.
And I asked you about playing for the Green Bay Packers when no one cared about the Green Bay Packers. Now, there was a time that no one cared. And here's what you might not know as a fan of Golden Gopher football. Darrell Thompson wasn't just a Golden Gopher football player, a great running back. He was a first-round pick by the Green Bay Packers in the draft in 1990. But when you went there, they didn't just play in Lambeau. They played in Milwaukee County Stadium still, too, right?
Yeah, we did.
And were the crowds as small as I remember them being?
No.
Okay. All right. Maybe I'm wrong then. Because it seemed like it just seemed like for a long time that they were kind of an afterthought when they played those games in Milwaukee.
You know what's interesting, Chris, about playing for the Packers, and it was something I told my wife and my friends, my parents, I said, it is a community of people that care tremendously. So I was there when people didn't care as much about the Packers and they were angry when they started to be really good. So my first 2 years were with Lindy Infante. My last 3 years were with Mike Holmgren. Mm-hmm. So we fired, or they fired Lindy Infante my second year. We had won like 4 games that year, so, it's cold, it's frustrating. And we stayed at home a little bit at that point. And I remember the night before the game, I'm watching TV and these people will come on. They're like, hey, are you going to be at the game? Yeah, I'm going to be there. I was there for Bart Starr and it was sold out and we were going to play the Rams and it was like negative, I want to say like 15 or 20 degrees outside. And it was sold out and people were there and they said, we're going to be here, win or draw, win, lose or draw. And it was, to me, I told my friends, I said, this is a fan base that deserves to have, they've had winners and they've had winners since then. I was just lucky enough and obviously, unfortunately, my body couldn't hang on long enough to be able to be there for that next Super Bowl they won. I think 2 years after I was out of there, they did end up winning Super Bowl with Brett, and then a few more since then.
Now, so again, my memory's a little off then because I seem to remember. Obviously, when they played in Green Bay, the fans were there. I could never. It seems like the Milwaukee games they had trouble selling tickets. Why did they play in 2 different stadiums? Not that you own the franchise, but why were they doing that?
I have actually no idea.
Yeah.
It was just we went there and they said, hey, we got a game in Milwaukee. We got to go there. We're going to stay at the Pfister Hotel. And we're going to play.
Hotel,
and
by the way.
we did. Yeah. It was interesting because both teams were on the same sideline. It was on a baseball field. It wasn't. We dressed in a baseball locker room. So football. There's more guys on a football team, not just bigger, but there's more guys. So it was a really tight. So we were like kind of getting dressed in the shower, getting dressed, they have, just kind of spread out, down the hallways and things like that. So it wasn't comfortable. The move back to, and you could be right, there might have been a little bit more sporadic in Milwaukee, but it was still the people, the Green Bay Packer fans are an extremely loyal, avid fan base. And I've been really also lucky and blessed too, but quarterback wise, 3 quarterbacks in the last 40 years is incredible.
Yeah.
I've got a million questions. I don't want to monopolize this. Okay, cool. All right, so
I'm still thinking about Sauce's cereal company.
I understand. You got big ideas. You, coming out of Rochester, could have played in Nebraska when Nebraska was Nebraska. You could have played at Iowa. You could have played at Wisconsin. UCLA wanted you. Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. Why'd you choose the Gophers?
Well, it's interesting. I say that in a lot of speeches. I said because I chose it because of community. I also chose it because it was the right place for me at this time. I wouldn't say nervous, but I just wanted to be in a place where I felt comfortable, where I was excited about, and some place where football wasn't the number one priority. Football was my number one priority, but I said I need to go to a place where football is maybe not the number one priority all the time, and it felt like I could get an education, I could get connected in the community, I could find a way of life if football did not work out.
With your accolades and your prospects heading into college, how would you have done in a world of NIL? And how would your decision have been different?
I don't know if it would have been a lot different, but just judging by what I see and hear, and even with my youngest son that played basketball in college, I think NIL would have been really a great thing.
Yeah.
I think you would have done well.
To put it mildly, I think it would have been a great thing.
May I take a left turn there, by the way? What is your son doing these days? Race, right?
Race is he's in the G League with the Memphis Hustle. He has a game here.
Oh, no kidding.
Wow.
He played for Indiana, man.
Did not know that. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so he has a game actually at 11 o'clock today. So it's a little midday break for him.
G League plays at 11 sometimes? Or is that is that just today, or is that a standard thing?
Today is one of the first times they play on a weekday. Sometimes on the weekend they might play at 1 o'clock or something, or Martin Luther King Day, but this is a little bit odd today.
Darrell, you in 1986 scored 4 touchdowns against Bowling Green. How cool was that? I'm being serious, though.
Go back to selling cereal, brother.
No, I'm being serious. That had to have been sweet.
It would have been, but they could have been.
What's interesting was I was nervous and scared. That was my first college game.
You scored 4 touchdowns in your first college game?
In the second half. I was running for my life. I was running for my life. I had no idea. I was playing the year before at John Marshall High School, and they were like, hey, and some of the older guys are struggle. They had a couple guys fumble. And so they put me out there in the second half, and Ricky Foggy would pitch me the ball, hand the ball off, and then I scored, and I scored again.
Jeez.
And so it was my first college game, period. I wasn't redshirted, nothing. I just showed up, and Bowling Green was, they weren't the strongest team, but they were there. And I got loose in the second half.
Was Sid at that game, and did he interview you after 4 touchdowns?
Oh, of course he did.
And
Sid's also part of the reason I was and am a Gopher as well.
How so? Excuse me. How so?
Sid was one of those people. He was one of the people that said, hey, you know what you need to think about? You need to think about your life. You need to think about business. You need to think about connections and opportunity.
Wow.
So Sid was, and this is, I don't say the good old days, but this is in olden days when people and reporters and other people could, approach you and be a little bit more aggressive in recruiting, and they had more alumni guys around than they do nowadays.
I didn't move here till 94, so forgive me for not knowing how to pronounce. How did you say your coach's name, John? Gutekunst.
Yeah, which is interesting. His son now is the general manager for the Packers. So that was so it's world. And he was Brian Gutekunst is he went to Armstrong actually where my kids went to school as well.
Wow. And was he there? He recruited you, right? So did you come to the Gophers with him because he coached there for 4 years, I believe?
Yeah, well, actually, Lou Holtz recruited me. Holtz recruited me for about maybe 2 years, a little bit when I was a sophomore, and then when I was a junior, he was hot, and he was on me, and I went to the Gopher camp, and it was embarrassing actually how he was just always around every drill and everything that I was in. But and then he left to go to Notre Dame, and Coach Gutekunst came in, and he kind of finished the deal, and I still thought Minnesota was the right place for me.
I just got a text from somebody named Mike Grimm. And he says, ask DT to tell the Reggie White story that Justin Gard loves.
Gardsey just texted me the exact same thing.
Oh, my goodness. Well, this has got to be great. Can we do it after the break? That's a hell of a tease.
All right, that's a tease.
You got time to stick around?
More with DT after this. If you can you stick around?
Yeah.
All right, on. More with DT and Mark Parrish after this. Power Trip Morning Show on the Fan.
BoulderOptions.org, by the way. BoulderOptions.org. Check it out today and become a mentor. They could really use your... Welcome back, Power Trip Morning Show. Very happy to have Darrell Thompson in studio with us. Color commentator for the Minnesota Golden Gopher football squad.
And man, we put you through hell because we give Mike Grimm those stupid lines, and
I got something.
half the fun is just to confuse you because we're like, what can we give Grimm
That is true. I'm here.
that he could say that Darrell will be like, what the hell did you just say?
There's a lot of discussion in here on how
It's the
your
only prep
reaction
we do
is
for the
going
show.
to be for
How can
it.
we confuse Darrell during the
How
football
do we get him to
You're
laugh?
doing a
How do
good
we get
job.
him
I tell you, you're doing a good job because I'm very focused and I love football, like a student of the game, I would say. And Mike and I have a blast. I love working with Mike. And usually it comes like something happens and I'm all like ready to say, hey, the safety did this, something happened. And then Mike's like, the place went nuclear. And I'm kind of like, what's that mean? Like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So,
I can.
We got a best of here. Just
Oh, hell yeah.
I can.
gosh.
Sorry, I want to defend Darrell a little bit. I totally understand that too. Because when I'm doing color for hockey, you're into the game, right? And that's as close as, well, at least I don't know how you feel, but that's as close as I get to playing the game
totally
again, right?
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons I love it. And yeah, like you're just totally into it. And you'd be like, wait, like somebody stopped the record on you. Like, wait a minute, like what the hell did you just say? I'm trying to. So anyway, just wanted to defend Darrell for a second.
Reggie White story. I got to know it.
So Reggie White, Hall of Fame, great player, great guy. And there's a code in practice. Like I know I'm not going to block Reggie White. So like if I go to like block Reggie, if I'm supposed to, like in NFL, first team and second team guys have to take scout team. It's not like in college where the guys go practice on one side and it's the other. So I knew that if I went over and if I tapped Reggie's knee, that meant that player that weekend was going to try to chop him or whatever it was. So I wasn't trying to get in any type of kerfuffle or anything with Reggie White. Anyways, there's this young offensive lineman, and he's blocking Reggie White. And then after the play's over, it's just like maybe a second or two, he hits him, and Ray says, hey, you don't have to do that. And he hits him again. Then he swears at Reggie, and I'm like, oh my gosh. I don't think that's a good idea. I know he's trying to make a mark. This young guy's trying to make a mark, and he swears at Reggie. And then Reggie did something. I think this is what Justin knows. I said, hey, Reggie never fastened his helmet in practice. Reggie clicked his helmet in.
Oh, no.
And I said, this is my buddy Vince Workman. I said, man, we got to watch Reggie on this play. So then the next play, literally, Reggie, and the guy tried to get him. Reggie said, no, I'm all right. I'm going to go back in. I just need one more rep. That's what he told his coach. So then he came in, and then literally Reggie came off the ball, and he lifted this 330-pound offensive lineman up like a blocking dummy and spiked him on the ground like this and jogged back through the offense and then went over and took a knee. That was it.
Done for the day?
He was done for the day.
Wow.
I just got to prove a quick point here.
He said, because Reggie said, you don't have to do that. And the guy's kind of one more time, and he's an explicative. And I said, oh, that is just the wrong. I said, you don't poke. I said, you poke Reggie White. It's like poking Michael Jordan. I said, there's certain people you just don't need to bother. And, Reggie would be one of those, and Reggie was always classy. Now, he wasn't trying to do anything. This young guy just kind of lost his sorts, and then he was unfortunately gone about a week later. Wow.
Someone be my question right there. How long did that guy last?
He wasn't there much longer.
I bet he tells that story all the time, too. Let me tell you about the last week I had in the NFL. I pissed off Reggie White, and he strapped in and just basically destroyed me.
The one guy in Vancouver that laid out Wayne Gretzky?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got that story to tell.
Probably not smart.
Never played again. No, it was in a game. This was an opposing team.
Oh.
An opposing player laid out Wayne Gretzky for Vancouver. And this was the V jerseys. I don't know if you remember. Those like god awful, but they're kind of awesome. V jerseys. And lays him out coming across the blue line. That guy never played in the NHL again. It wasn't even one of his teams. He was technically doing what he was supposed to be doing, taking out the best player.
We learned in the movie
Never
Swingers, even
played again.
if you do it in a video game, it's worth fighting over. You can't take Gretzky out. It's the playoffs.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh,
It's the
yeah.
playoffs. All right, you said you had a highlight reel compilation of Mike Grimm and Darrell Thompson.
And I have to admit, Mike Grimm did this. He put it together for us.
I bet he did.
He sure did. And this is his favorites.
PJ Fleck running over to Brett Bielema to shake hands, and Minnesota falls 27-26. Anybody interested in grabbing a couple of burgers and hitting the cemetery?
Oh, that's a tough one, Mike. This is certainly tough. And one did you expect to win, and one you probably should have won.
So 13 touches, 137 yards, 3 touchdowns. He's getting it done. He'll have a Voorhees burger and a side of Jason fingers.
Absolutely, and he deserves it.
He sure does. Tasty right there. 1st and 10.
Just settle down and play football and let that defense rest. Drink a little water on the side and regroup and try to figure out a way to tackle Caleb Johnson when they come back on the field.
Yeah, but then the pizzas would get all wet.
Oh, my God.
They're on Minnesota now, 178 yards of total offense, Michigan 174, yet the Gophers trail by 21. So you see, my son, there's a fine line between love and nausea.
There sure is.
And Minnesota with a beautiful drive to start. Pretty good.
I got nothing, no words for that.
Why does the phone always ring when you're in the bathtub? All kinds of things to wonder. If the Gophers get a first down here, they can just about salt the game away.
It'd be ideal to salt the game away here in this situation.
As they say, success is 1% inspiration, 98% perspiration, and 2% attention to detail.
Brilliant.
Exactly is what it is.
Students from Wisconsin heading back to the dorms on this Thanksgiving break, probably thinking they picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue.
Yeah, it's never a good week to be sniffing glue, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, and you get Saturday off tomorrow. You can watch movies. You like movies about gladiators?
I will be watching some gladiator movies, probably not tomorrow. I'll probably watch some football tomorrow.
Football tomorrow. Tony Nelson is in now.
So good. You're a good sport.
Yeah, you're an amazing sport.
That's exactly what it is.
I would handle it. I love it. The first one is just...
First one's the best one. Could you play that again?
Slide
Just the
right
first
over
one
that,
again.
Just going back into the game.
The bit about the getting a burger and going to the cemetery.
Mike running over to Brett Bielema to shake hands, and Minnesota falls 27-26. Anybody interested in grabbing a couple of burgers and hitting the cemetery?
Oh, that's a tough one, Mike. This is certainly a tough one.
Well, I think also you said Bielema, so that's a while back. I think for a while I didn't know what was going on.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Early,
Yeah.
you're
early
just gonna
years,
slide
I
over
didn't
and
know
keep
what was
going,
going
yeah.
on, and I was like, that seems odd. And then I just kind of move on. And Mike and I are together for a long time. We have dinner like almost always like the night before and have breakfast, and we ride together and things. So we're kind of like together. And I'm like, sometimes we say kind of goofy things saying that, but that always. So I just think I'm just maybe a tiny bit numb. And he always, I heard about it later, and I hear about it from a lot of other people, that they enjoy it. So I've learned to enjoy it.
So nobody tips you off, though? Because we normally give that quote out on a Wednesday. I mean, theoretically, somebody could text you for 3 or 4 days going, hey, Grimmer's going to say such and such on Saturday, just so you're ready. I'm glad they don't, but...
They don't. And probably a blessing from you, Boulder Options, my day job, is like a completely different world from football. So sometimes I go to the press conference for Coach Fleck and things but that's like I'm not coming here. I'm not like doing a lot of stuff. And I do have a lot of friends, obviously, and I listen to KFAN as well. But for some reason, people just kind of leave it on. I think they just kind of smirk to themselves like, I'm not going to say anything.
Why ruin the fun?
We're like,
It's too much fun. Just leave it alone.
Yeah. Hey, they get the bit.
Yeah, you're a good sport about it, and Grimmer takes it super seriously. It's the best.
Yeah.
All right, I back to a few more questions here. Again, Darrell Thompson's our guest. BoulderOptions.org. Become a mentor. BOLDER. BoulderOptions.org. So much about your pro career that I want to ask you about, but let me go to being the kick returner. Did you enjoy doing that?
I had a love-hate relationship with kick returning. Kick returning is and was very, very dangerous, but I liked it for the most part. And actually later in my NFL career, it became a way for me it was like one more job. You know, the more you can do, then it's a good thing. So I was, 50-50 on kickoff and return. I couldn't do punts. I couldn't catch punts.
You mentioned in passing a little bit ago that you were there when they fired Lindy Infante at the Green Bay Packers,
right,
and brought in Mike Holmgren. But they didn't just bring in Mike Holmgren. They brought in a guy by the name of Andy Reid to coach tight ends in the offensive line. They brought in a guy named John Gruden to be an offensive assistant. They brought in a guy named Steve Mariucci to be quarterback's coach. They brought in a guy called Sherm Lewis to be the offensive coordinator. They brought in a guy named Ray Rhodes to be the defensive coordinator. My goodness, man. How much of a sea change did you feel when that group of people came in, or did it just seem like a new staff to you?
Quite honestly, it felt like a new staff, and they were all in. Coach Gruden at that point, he wasn't even a position coach. He was we called it the get back coach. So he was the assistant to the offensive coordinator, and he would just break down film, and that was what his job was, to try to figure things out. And he did a great job of it. And John and I had a fun, great relationship. And when I left my third year, he was the receiver coach. And then he obviously went to coordinator, I think, with the Eagles. And then, we kind of know his career, and same with, a lot of the others. It was, Andy Reid's been the one that's been the funnest, and Andy was fun. He was unique, and he has exceeded my, I didn't have anything bad to say about him. I didn't think he was going to be maybe one of the greatest coaches in the history of the NFL, and that he'd be that innovative and fun to play for. You can just see that his teams love to play for him. They love the play design. They like how he, also, it's also a blessing when you have, Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback as well.
Yeah, no doubt about that.
Who are you cheering for?
Well, I used to hang out a tiny bit with Pat's dad here in town when he was playing for the Twins. We'd play basketball together and stuff like that. So I kind of pull for the Chiefs a little bit, but I don't really have a big horse in this one. If I was betting, I would I'd say that the Eagles are going to win, because I feel like they're just due. Yeah, I feel like the Eagles are due.
Do you remember Brett Favre coming into the team for the first time? Do you remember having any thoughts at all about him as a young quarterback?
Yeah, Brett was extremely confident. He had a super duper strong arm, and he was more of a student of the game than people give him credit for. And he also, we partied pretty hard too. It was kind of
sure, yeah.
That was a different era. That was probably maybe the end of it was that North Dallas 40. I think football, pro football, had a little bit of that still in it, where it's like you're going to get shot up, you're going to drink a lot of beer, there's going to be a lot of painkillers, and that was probably the end of that time period. So but Brett was a lot of fun, super talented, and had an incredible arm strength and a lot of confidence.
Was Holmgren as hard on him as it seems like he was early? Do you remember that at all?
Yeah, they battled, but also one thing I loved about Brett was like, I take this motto with me, and even in my coaching kids and other kids, I said, when you turn your back, you're on the field. He'd be like, yep, you're right. This is going to happen. And Brett would be like, yep. And then he'd be like, Brett, why'd you throw that basic creep? Well, Brett, so I thought I could squeeze it in there. And he was right about 75% of the time. When he was wrong, it wasn't good.
It wasn't good.
He would throw it, especially in the early years. I remember I was talking to Mark Duper. He was there. He came from the Miami Dolphins, and he was there with us. And he goes, man, I said, man, I think he's going to figure it out. I mean, he just is always trying to squeeze it in. And Brett did figure it out. He stopped trying to squeeze in. He's always, the gunslinger. But he just got better and better. And obviously, he played almost 20 years.
So speaking of breaking down quarterbacks, you cover the Golden Gophers. You've seen them play Michigan. Do you think J.J. McCarthy has the ability to take this to the next level? Are you a believer?
I just don't know. I mean, it's really, really difficult. I think J.J. McCarthy has the ability, and I think it's going to take some time for him. But I think I think he could do it. I just think it's going to take a little bit more time than people think it does, just because there is a transition from college to the NFL, the speed, the windows, and everything else. They're smaller, but I think he's got the ability, and whether or not everything else translate is just going to take a little bit of time. But this could have potentially been. It's not ideal to sit out a whole year with the knee. It'd been great if he'd been practicing and had some other opportunity, but he could come out next year and have, I think, a very, very good year.
I remember I graduated high school in 1989. Okay, so these players, these names, your generation of players, these were people that I really, really loved. There was a tackle by the name of Tony Mandrich who was going to change football. And he played for you guys, but he didn't have a long career. Obviously, it was what happened with Tony Mandrich, and do you remember?
Well, I think this is all like we talk about, like the end of an era. It was also the end of the steroid era, right? So when I got in the NFL, steroids were like literally stopped like my first and second year in NFL. So he went from being the incredible bulk to being kind of a regular offensive lineman, and he had to kind of remake himself, and he did. He ended up playing, I want to say 4, 5, 6 years, and played for Lindy Infante when he coached, I think, the Indianapolis Colts or something like that. Right, so, but Tony was not the same as many people were not the same when they had to come off the juice, as it was called back in the 90s and 80s.
Here were the first 5 picks of that draft: Troy Aikman, Tony Mandrich, Barry Sanders, Derek Thomas, Deion Sanders.
Oh my goodness!
Good Lord!
Those are the first 5 picks of that draft.
Everybody but Mandrich is
Hall of Fame,
legendary.
Hall of Fame, yeah, yep.
Yikes!
I mean,
tremendous amount of talent in that draft.
Yeah,
That's a draft.
I mean, Steve Atwater was in that draft. He was the 20th overall pick.
I mean, how many top 5s are better than that? I mean, just the
None.
draft picks.
That's the best top 5 of all time.
Top 5, yeah. Like, that's insane.
Yeah.
Wow. The quarterback that Brett Favre replaced,
The Magic Man.
Yeah, the Magic Man, Mikowski. When you were playing with him, did you see? Because I remember him being a hot commodity in the NFL. I remember him being, obviously somebody that people thought very highly of. When they brought Brett in, did they bring him in to be a replacement for him, or did they bring him in just to be a backup? Oh
no, they brought him in to be to be a replacement.
Okay.
I mean, I think that I can't remember who our general manager was then, but it was the thought was he was going to be the next. He was going to be the quarterback.
It was Ted Thompson, wasn't it? Could it have been Ted Thompson?
Might have been before him.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he was there as a scout, but yeah, could have been Ted. But I mean, it was the thought that Brett was going to be the quarterback, and it wasn't very long. He proved it just in running a scout team. I remember him just, throwing balls and have a lot of confidence, success against the first team defense. That's one good thing you do when you run scout team. You aren't going against the first team, and Brett was, sometimes carving them up. So it was that opportunity, and then also it's kind of the end of that era. I mean, Don Mikowski was beat up.
Yeah.
He said, man, I'm like a pincushion, my shoulder, my back, my knees. I mean, Don came out of, I think it was Virginia, super athletic, running around. He'd be successful in the modern game. But RPO guy, he's probably a little smaller than Josh Allen, but of that like ilk of athletic runner, thrower, can get the ball in the spots. And we didn't protect the quarterback back then. They were just like anybody else. I mean, people were sailing through them, probably till about 10 or 11 years ago, and he was beat up.
Yeah.
So
it was Ron Wolf.
Was it Ron? Yeah. Oh, there you go. Okay, that's
he was
right.
a great
guy.
Yeah,
that's
right.
Ron Wolf,
great guy.
Tell me about Sterling Sharp as a teammate and player.
Well, probably the smartest, most athletic, most confident player that I ever played with would be Sterling Sharp. Nobody knew the playbook inside and out better than Sterling Sharp, and Sterling Sharp's brother would admit, and I think many, many, many Hall of Famers would admit that Sterling Sharp is the best receiver that is not in the Hall of Fame that should be in the Hall of Fame. Sterling Sharp is better than his brother, and Shannon would say, and I would say he's better, not just because I played with him for 5 years. Sterling Sharp ran routes with tremendous precision, tremendous confidence, and would run over people. He would run around people. He would beat the tar out of defensive backs. If a defensive back came up down the line of scrimmage to jam up, he's like, oh, this is just, he said, you really don't want to jam Sterling, because Sterling was, lifting with the offensive lineman, incredibly, incredibly strong and explosive for a wideout.
Plus, what a cool name, by the way.
Yeah.
Right? It sounds like a literary character.
I took for granted he was in the Hall of Fame.
I gotta be honest with you.
I just thought he was.
I think it's a longevity thing.
Not a ginormous, but I remember him being incredible watching him play. I would have put a ton of money on that he was already a Hall of Famer.
No, he should be. 1,000% he should be in the Hall of Fame.
He had 18 touchdowns in 1994. 18.
Wow.
That's a lot.
What a name, Sterling Sharp.
Yeah,
and also incredible. Sterling got 2 degrees from South Carolina in like 3 years. He was doing an internship. Sterling is, I mean, he could read the room. He's really smart, really intelligent, a tremendous receiver, tremendously confident, and a great. He also had Sterling had an aura. I mean, there's some people that have like an aura. I mean, Reggie White, Michael Jordan, some people. Sterling is one of the people that's like, whew, I'm glad he's on my side. So he was he had your back.
A couple of rapid fire things. We got like 5 minutes left in the show, Darrell. I think a lot of us are bummed we only get 1 year of Max Brosmer just because this team felt different with an actual quarterback.
Yeah.
Where do we go from here since that was a one and done with Brosmer? How does this team keep that passing mentality moving forward?
I mean, I was blown away by Max and the confidence that they had in Max. Coach Fleck and Harbaugh by the end of the year were like, hey, you know what, just kind of wave my arm, like, yeah, go ahead and run it, and but I think Max actually left an imprint, for the young guys on the offense. So we'll see. I mean, there's obviously just one, and I think Max is going to get an opportunity to play professional football just because of his processing, and I think he is athletic enough and has the arm strength enough to play in the NFL. So he'd make a lot of sense for a team to have on your roster. But I think that the imprint that Max left and the work ethic that he left, I think, is left an imprint on that quarterback room. And I think we'll be okay. Won't be the same, but I think we'll be okay.
Who's the front runner?
I can't even remember.
We don't know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I should know that, but I can't think.
Yeah,
about
but that's.
something.
I mean, I think we should know that too. That's what's always frustrating is how do we not even know who the quarterback is? And maybe diehard Gopher fans are screaming at their radios, but I don't know, right? Like, shouldn't we have a guy?
Yeah.
Well,
man.
I mean, the transfer portal is just something else, isn't it?
Yeah, correct.
I can't even imagine what this team looks like from year to year, and the research you must have to do, Darrell, to get to know these new players.
There's a lot of research, but also, it comes on fast and you just get used to it.
Yeah.
It's like preparing for a game. You just you get prepared. And, after the season, once the portal's closed and I go to spring ball, I get an idea. And I did know about Max. I know about some of the other young guys we had, but the running backs, the receivers, the offensive linemen, defensive linemen, it's a little different because you don't just get to just watch someone through the whole process. But, you also, we lose people too. We lost, our offensive lineman that was just, he was coming, he got an opportunity to go to Ohio State that I'm sure was more lucrative than it was for him to remain a Gopher.
So
Drake Lindsay is the quarterback.
Yeah,
he's the front runner.
Yeah.
Isn't that the kid from high school from a year or two ago? Right?
Yes.
Is Arkansas or something?
Yeah,
he is.
Probably by definition, high school.
Well, I'm saying not a transfer portal
played.
guy.
Yeah,
No, he's not a portal person. But yeah.
Give me the worst Big Ten environment for a football game.
I mean, on the road, I think the worst and the most intimidating environment is probably Ohio State.
What's the worst in terms of just no vibe?
Oh, Northwestern. There's no question about
That's what
it.
everybody says. But it's just super quiet.
I mean, it's just like walking around outside. Mike and I and Justin, we'll get to the games kind of like, well, there's like, we're here. The people in the yellow coats are here.
Nobody cares.
No, I mean, even the students are just like, oh yeah, there's a game today. They're not doing homework in the stands like, back in the 80s and 90s, but there's still, it's not much of a fervor. There's not like the most place you go to Iowa and Ohio State and Wisconsin and, here, there's like a fervor, like, oh, there's a game today, Illinois, there's a buzz, alumni, but literally you can just drive right up to the stadium at Northwestern, 4 hours before the game. And there's not a lot of people tailgating either. It's just not the buzz.
Chris, maybe you should have gotten Northwestern Wildcats season tickets for the rest of your life.
Yeah,
parking's not a problem at Northwestern.
I could have. You're right. Darrell, you were a McDonald's All-American in basketball. Did you ever think about playing basketball in college?
I did until I played basketball with the basketball players. I did. I played with like Willie Burton and a handful of other guys, and I said, man, these guys. But I wasn't tall. So I'm 6'1", and I'm playing power forward and center in high school, and I go play with these guys. I'm like, guys, I'm just not even tall enough. I was fast and I could jump and run and stuff. I couldn't shoot, so that's another thing you need to be able to do that I wasn't good at. But no, I thought about it for just about 2 minutes, and it wasn't going to happen for me.
I love this question on the Boulder Options website. Who believed in you? Be the mentor you needed. And you can do that at boulderoptions.org, a great organization that Darrell's been working with for over 30 years now, and Again, it's really easy to become a mentor, and it doesn't take as much time as you would think, and you don't have to be an expert in anything. You just have to be there for kids. Am I right about that?
You're right, and I really appreciate you guys having me on, being National Mentor Month, and putting a little highlight and shine on Boulder Options. Hopefully we can keep on doing it because we need mentors all year round, but this is National Mentoring Month, so we appreciate you guys reaching out and having me on this morning.
Dude, you're the best.
Yeah, you're the best.
Thanks for
everybody.
tolerating all my questions, man.
Thank you.
Yep.
If you'd like to mentor Paul Meatsauce Lambert, reach out at boulderoptions.com. He wants to go cross-country skiing and running and do cartoons.
I could use all that.
And
Cartoons for sure.
If you need a handful of cereal.
Yeah, exactly. Without a box. Look up his 15-year successful cereal company. Darrell Thompson. 9 to noon is next. We're back tomorrow, 5:30 to 9. Thanks for checking out the Power Trip Morning Show. See you tomorrow.
Everybody have a wonderful day.
You too, Abba Dabba. Love you.
The goal is for me to win this contest. I've got to beat off hockey. Hockey's on this impression, so everybody got to beat him off if I want those tickets. All right, time to beat off hockey. Best blood!
The hell was that?